According to the Wall Street Journal, Beijing is planning to build a new training facility in Cuba. We've been talking about this for a couple of weeks, but it raises the prospect of Chinese troops on America's doorstep.
Now, the report saying, quote, China and Cuba are negotiating to establish a new joint military training facility that could lead to Chinese troops and other security and intelligence operations just 100 miles off Florida's coast.
Yeah, joining us now for more is retired Air Force Brigadier General, Newsmax contributor General Blaine Holt with us on this Wednesday morning, bright and early. General, first off, how concerning is this? We saw something similar in the early 1960s, and that ultimately led to the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Morning to you both. It's very concerning, and I'm glad that we're highlighting it. But what we should be drawing out that spotlight on the amount of Chinese operatives that are already in our country. Daily Caller just reported on 7 cities now that have these Chinese police stations that are operating inside. Now, if you put a military base down there in Cuba, we've absolutely got a problem in China not being just on our periphery with military force, but also rip in every single layer of our society with their intelligence forces and the things that they can do. And we still don't know about these military-age men by the tens of thousands that are crossing our southern border and what their mission set is and what they've got planned.
Yeah, there's so many things we don't know. General RFK Jr. joined The Record with Greta Van Susteren last night. He gave his position on handling China's military escalation. Take a listen.
I think there are, first of all, I think that China is interested in world domination, but I don't think China wants to fight us, to confront America on a military battlefield, on a military landscape. I think it's projecting economic power around the country. I think we ought to do what the Chinese did, what my uncle John Kennedy wanted to do, which is to project economic power, rather de-escalate the military conflicts, the saber-rattling, project economic power around the world, which China has done now with great success. China's eating our lunch.
General, your reaction to that?
Freedom always beats a totalitarian regime. And he's got one thing completely correct. No matter how much military force China projects, it's not going to be their preference to have a kinetic war with the United States. And they're already working us in a hybrid sense with cyber, with corruption, with every other element of warfare that you could imagine. I'm very worried about our grid. But to his main point, our economic power and our free society is what we should embrace and then start to decouple this relationship intelligently and impose costs on that regime until China decides it's going to conform to world international law.
General, let me just look at this from the other side, from the Chinese perspective. The United States has military bases all over the world, and some right in countries that border China and Russia, by the way. Right. So how is that fair? But what they're trying to do in an allied country, in a country like Cuba, how is that somehow not acceptable?
So there's always going to be this parallelism or this relativism argument. The problem is China never had the burden of saving the free world in World War II from that. It also doesn't have a United States Constitution, which guarantees that besides needing some soil to bury our dead, we tend not to occupy and own countries. Right. But to your point, I would be all for not having a global footprint like we have. And I think that we should actually have some of those bases under consideration. Look at Syria. Tell me what the reason is that we're there right now besides ConocoPhillips.
Yeah, great. You look at World War II, by the way. Yeah. China, Russia, they were allies of the United States. So a lot has certainly changed in 80 years.
Yeah, great point. General, I want to get to your new Newsmax op-ed. You write, welcome India like our future depends on it, because it does. Talk to us about how India, may help with the China problem we have.
Well, in these really difficult days where we always have some bad news, we've got Prime Minister Modi showing up tomorrow in D.C. for a full state visit. And this is a great diplomatic opportunity. I'm very excited about it because you have the world's largest democracy. They're the 5th largest economy. And Prime Minister Modi is very popular here in the United States and in his own country. He wants to enhance the relationship. They want respect on the world stage. They want entry into some of these organizations like the UN Security Council. But when you think of a counterweight to Chinese belligerents on the world stage, we could use a friend in India, and I hope we take advantage of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Over 1 billion people living in India. General, we'll pick this up again soon. Thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it as always. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Lots more.